And welcome back. Welcome back. We are at 56 hours. Did you hear me? 56 hours into this week's fast as we move through our metabolic space. Hey, if you're joining us for the first time, I'm Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. We're creating the life we've always wanted, and we are living limitless lives. That's right. We are 56 hours into this week's fast. We're working on improving our metabolism, getting those blood sugars down, getting that A1C improved, getting that weight down, and we are working on getting off of medications. We're talking to adults with type 2 diabetes who want to get off medications, improve their health, and to live a limitless life. Welcome to the show tonight. If you're new to me, go ahead and put a new in the comments because I'd love to welcome you with a hand clap and some music. And let you know that we are excited that you are in the space. If you have questions, go ahead and put those questions in the comments because we want to make sure that we get to those as we move through our space. Whatever platform you're joining us from, whether you are on LinkedIn or Twitch or you are on Facebook and of course here on YouTube, we welcome you. And for all of those who are joining us from different places because you've seen our content somewhere on one of your social media platforms, whether that's at your church or your community center, your doctor's office, wherever you are joining us from, welcome to the space. Special shout out to the folks from Atlanta at Atlanta Berea, and then of course those who are at Riverside in Nashville. So thank you for coming through and hanging out with us as we move through this metabolic space. Hey guys, I am here. I am 56 hours. And there's some of you who joined us on Tuesday and you ended your fast yesterday, your 24-hour fast. And hats off to you. Let me give you a hand clap. And then there are some of you who started your fast yesterday and you ended it today when we did our check-in right around 1 o'clock. So hand clap for you as well. And then there are some of you who started your fast today and you are heading into the last third of our 72-hour fast. And you're going to be ending your fast with us tomorrow. And my hands clap to you as well because this is a great opportunity that you took to get your body set for improving your metabolism. Fasting, an amazing way to do that. We'll talk more about that as we move through the episode tonight. And as you know how we do, we've got my monitors that we're going to take a look at right here to see what's been going on with my blood sugars. I've got, of course, on this side, or right below me actually, I've got my Dexcom Clarity Report, which we'll take a look at and see what my ketones are. So if you're out there, go ahead and you can start putting that in already so you can put a guess into what you think my ketones are going to be, right? If you have not been there yet on our YouTube channel, and of course some of you are here because you're watching us on YouTube, but if you've not done so yet, on the YouTube channel, there are a couple of changes that you will see. One of those changes is that you will notice that we have a streamlined look to the channel. We used to have several of our videos there. Now, if you go to the channel, what you will find is a simple thing, and this is the video that's going on right now. This is the episode that's running right now. That's why it says live down there at the bottom. And if you scroll down on that page, you will find two playlists. One that says Start Here, Reversing Diabetes and Reclaim Your Health with Dr. Dwain Woode. And this is a curated list of videos on the path that we've been on. If you want to jump in, you want to get a jump start and say, hey, how do I get through this process? How do I get on this journey? That's where you start, right there where it says Start Here. And if you go to the playlist, in the description of the playlist, there is a link, and you can actually just go to that link. And actually, I'm gonna do something here. I'm gonna copy that link, and I'm gonna paste it into the comments. So you can go to that link, and you can begin walking through. And you'll see here that there's a little description at the top, and then it breaks the videos down into the things that you should be learning. Start with a vision, understanding what's really going on. master the tools that actually work, and then putting it all together. So that PDF that you're going to download will give you that information. So you can get over there and you can see what's been happening. An amazing group of videos that we put together. If you go to our website, and let me put that in the chat really quick. Well, let me do this first. If you go to our website, and that's DwainWoodeMD.com, DwainWoodeMD.com, you will see a similar streamlining. So what we did was we went to the website and we created, so there's a little welcome from me. You can watch that. And then down here, you'll see two things as well. And here is that same link. It says start watching videos, and it goes through, right? Transformation begins with truth, and we teach every week. And so this is that list that you will see. And then over here, download your free guide. And that free guide is the blueprint to reversing your diabetes and reclaiming your health. And that's the PDF that I just talked about. Okay, so we'll go ahead and we'll drop that. I'll drop that link in the comments so that you can get over there. So if you're pointing somebody, if you're sending someone to the YouTube channel, you tell them, hey, if they say, where do I start? Go ahead and say to them, hey, you can just go ahead and download the PDF and then begin walking through those videos. Also, on the YouTube channel, we have been walking through the series, and there are several series that we have that are going on right now. One of those series is our strength, strategy, and mindset, and that is with the intention of providing you with a space where you can just come and you can plug in. All right, so remember, Limitless Living, the Health Action Plan, has several components to it, or several pillars, as we call them. And you can go there, and those pillars are showing you the things that we're doing. So right now, we're in the midst of our strength, strategy, and mindset. And that is providing you a space where you can go and you can work out. So here we are. We're doing some dumbbell presses. All right, we're doing some curl and presses. We're doing, this is some hammer curls, some dead bugs. And let's see, we've got some squats in there. There we go, so here's some squats. Let's go there, there we go. So we're doing some squats, okay? So this is to give you a space where you can come aside and you can begin working along and going through the Limitless Living Health Action Plan. So all of this is designed to help you streamline what you're doing. Remember, we said that if you're going to be successful, you got to have a structure, and all the things that you'll see there on the channel are giving you that structure. Okay? All right, so let's go ahead and let's take a look at blood sugars. So I've been fasting now 56 hours, a little over 56 hours. And let's see what those blood sugars are showing. And here is my Freestyle Libre. And right now, Freestyle Libre is saying that my blood sugar is 57. Actually, let me do one thing real quick. I'm going to turn off the alarm, or turn on the alarm, because I turned that off a little while ago. All right, so let's go back. So here is where we are. And right there, you'll see my blood sugar 57. And you'll see if you scroll down right about here. So for most of the day, my blood sugar has been below 70, and that's that squiggly red line that you see there. Normally, if it was above 70, you would see a white line, but right now it's been below 70 for most of the day. If I go and look at some of my insights, right, I can look at the reports, and we'll see our time in range for the last 7 days. Right, so we've been 71% in range, and notice that the reason that it's 71% is that down here you'll see that we're in the red, which is low blood sugar, for 29% of the time. So 71 plus 29 gives us a total of 100. If I do that for 90 days, I'm in target 89% of the time, with 11% being lows. And those lows are during the time when I am fasting, okay? So let's go back here and let's say average glucose levels for the last 7 days. For the last 7 days is going to come up and it'll be right in here. And you'll see average blood sugar is 84. You see that number right about here. 84, and then you can see for different times of the day down here, these are what those graphs are showing. If I look at that for a 90 day, up here you'll see my 91 is my average, and then down below, that is my the average per different times of the day. Okay, so that's there. Now if I scroll over and we're going to look at my Dexcom, and this is a Dexcom G7, my blood sugar right now is a 77. And then down here, you'll see that similar graph as the one that we showed before on the Libre. And this one, I like it because I can actually put my finger on it and I can scroll through and you can see what those blood sugars have been doing. So 86, and it's kind of scrolling, it's been staying in the 80s, 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 here up into the 90s, 91, and then back down into the 80s. And actually, I'm looking at this graph right here. Down into where we are right now into the 70s. Okay, see that? All right, great. And let's go ahead and let's take a look at now what my monitors are saying. So I've got my Keto Mojo, and I've got my Contour. And let me grab a, see what's going on with my, there we go. Get this over just a little bit. Go ahead and grab my container, and I've got a brown for blood sugar. I've got a, hopefully I've got a blue in here somewhere. Yep, there it is. I've got a blue one for ketones. I've got some lancets, and I have a container that has strips for my contours. Let's go ahead and put this back over there. And we're going to grab a contour strip, get that into that monitor. Right there. Let's just make sure we got it turned the right way. Get that in, and then open up a strip. I'm going to go ahead and open this one first. This is the blood sugar for the Keto Mojo. And so what do you think? What do you think ketones are going to be, right? So 56 hours. And I'm going to go ahead and open the ketone one as well because I always have issues. See, I always have issues getting this one open. Maybe I don't tear it right down the middle. All right, so I'll get that off to the side, and then of course here is my lancet, and we're gonna get a finger, and let's do it right about there, and ow, 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 ow. And that gives me a good brisk drop of blood there. So get that one started, get another drop for the Contour, get that started, and then let's go back over here so you can see what that is. So 59 is what the Keto Mojo says, 62 for the Contour, and then of course right there 77 for the Keto Mojo. And I see some of you starting to drop guesses in for my ketones, so I was going to get that started, and I got to get a good drop so that doesn't, okay, so get that started. And yesterday I had to pick myself again a second time, so we don't want to do that. So I made sure I got a good drop this time. Okay, so I see some guesses in there, and we'll see that. And 3, 2, 1, and it is 1.4. All right, so 1.4 is what I am. I think yesterday we were a 1.0. So let me go ahead and let's grab my Keto Mojo app and go ahead and get that synced so we can have a conversation there for about ketones. So when we talk about ketones, remember ketones occur, and let's see, you said there was a problem. I'm gonna come back over here. We'll talk while I try to get that through. When we talk about ketones, ketones occur when our body breaks down fat and breaks those triglycerides apart, and it's using this fat now to generate energy. So that's when ketones occur. And so when we see ketones, as I just did, we anticipate that my body and your body, when you're fasting at this point, anticipate that your body is in the process of burning fat, and the result are the ketones. So ketones that are less than 0.5 are considered normal. 0.5 to 1.5 considered nutritional ketosis, and then above 1.5 is considered therapeutic ketosis. And so right now I am in the 1.4, so just on the cusp, right? Just on the cusp of what would be considered the end of nutritional ketosis and getting into therapeutic ketosis. I have to think about that for a second. Okay, and so this is sinking, and remember, as ketones, well, as blood sugars rise, then insulin has to come out, and whenever insulin comes out, then insulin causes a problem for ketones. So our goal is, and hopefully we'll see that here in just a minute as this comes up. Our goal is to have our ketones as high as possible with low blood sugars. I was going to say as low as possible, but I don't want to say as low as possible, but we want those ketones to be high, and we want the blood sugars to be low. That is our goal. And in this case, let's see, let's make sure we got that there. Let's see if it pulled it over. Yeah, for some reason it's not pulling over my current. It pulled over the last ones, but it didn't pull the current one over. So I'm going to sync it again because I want to see if we can get that graph so that we can see what's been going on there. But once again, when we talk about ketones, when your blood sugars are high, then insulin is there, and insulin negates ketones. So that's the main point that I want you to get, is that insulin will negate ketones, and we don't want to do that. We want to actually have as much ketones as we possibly can, so that we can be burning the fat. Okay, all right. So I'm still working on that. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at my monitor as recorded in my Clarity app or Clarity report. And here we are. So 14-day average is 102, right? And we usually tell patients and clients we want their average blood sugar to be between 100 and 120. And I'm in target 96% of the time, target being 70 to 180. And if I were to get an A1C, then I would expect it to be about 5.8. So that's a calculation. So it is not a actual number. It is a calculation, but it should approximate that. So if I got my A1C and my A1C was like a 7, something is wrong, right? Because I would expect it to be somewhere between 5.6 to maybe 6.2, 6.3, but somewhere in the range of a 5.8 is what I'm expecting. And if I look at this at 90 days, once again, average blood sugar of 116 with a GMI or glucose management indicator of 6.1, and I'm in target 98% of the time, target being anywhere from 70 to 180. Now let's go ahead and let's take a look at the actual data throughout those entire days. And I'm going to go back. Well, here we are, right? So there's where my blood sugar is right now, in the 80s, low 80s. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll back, and we're going to start at the time when I started my fast. And so, as you know, I start my fast on Tuesdays after my meeting at work, after our team meeting. And so right here is where we're starting the fast, and blood sugar at that point was 114. And so if you did not see the episode where we did the pop-up where we ate our last meal prior to get into the fast, you want to get over there and watch that. That gives you an idea of what we ate and what the blood sugars, what happened to the blood sugars afterwards. So right here is where I was eating and stopped eating, and so we started our fast. And so over the next several hours, let's go ahead and let's look at those numbers. So started at 115, and so we're going down. We got up into the 120s, 122, the highest so far. Here's the 124, right? So once again, 115 and 124 is the highest. This is now about 4 hours later. 102, 105, 109, 112. And remember, when you come back tomorrow, we'll go through the whole process of fasting, how to prepare for the fast, how to get through the fast, and how to break the fast. And so these 6 hours following that eating, these are called the postprandial period, right? So the body's processing, and I'll make a point of going through this tomorrow again. The body's processing all the food that I just ate. So right now, it's just sorting through all of that. So 115 up to the highest is 122, I think is what we saw there. and then down into the 106. Now going forward the next morning, so 107 down into the 90s. And here's what I usually call the toothpaste effect, and you'll see that. So there's a little bump, but not as big as we would normally see in that case. We went from a 96, I think, 91 up to a 118, 117, and then started coming back down and down into the 80s, upper 80s, and then into today, into the mid 80s, lower 80s, continue, and right there it dropped down below 80, and then continued through the rest of the day, 80s and 90s, 80s and 90s, and then started coming back down, and here we are, 70s, 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 and then right here it picked up just a little bit. So one of the questions I get asked all the time is this part right here. So let's see, where do we go? So right here. Okay, so if I have not eaten for so long and the blood sugars are dropping, and then in this instance, it actually went below, let's see, where was that? It went below 70 and then popped back up, right, and stayed in the 70s, and then started going up right here. So the question sometimes people will ask is why, if you haven't eaten for that long, why are the blood sugars still, why are they not zero? I guess that's ultimately the question. Well, it's not zero because as my body is burning fat, it has the ability to take that fat, break it into triglycerides, break the triglycerides down, and form ketones, which is what we want, and it also has the ability to form sugar, so glucose. So even when you are not eating, your body still has the ability to create glucose from the stores that you have in your body. That's why when people say to me, hey, I have not eaten for, and they'll give me some time, some length of time that they've not eaten and my blood sugar is still high. And I'll say to them, well, in order for you not to have a high blood sugar, like for you not to have a blood sugar that's above 70, for example, a lot of the fat has to go away, because as long as there's fat there, the body has the ability to convert that into energy, and it converts it, and energy in the body is in the form of glucose. And so that's where sometimes that gets a little confusing, but I just want to make sure that we point that out, that it is your body still doing what it needs to do to keep you alive, right? So it can form glucose, but it also is burning those ketones. And we'll talk about that as we talk more about the complete fasting. All right, so let's go ahead, and I want to do a quick check-in. And let's go ahead and do that right now. And when I do my check-in, there are 3 places that I want to talk about, and that's how I'm feeling physically, mentally, and emotionally. Physically, mentally, and emotionally, because these are the places where people tend to have the most challenges. You'll recognize those also as 3 of the domains of health, right? So physical, mental, and emotional. Once again, those are the places where people tend to have challenges in their health. And so physically right now, I'm feeling energetic. I'm not feeling tired, although last night I didn't sleep well. Some tossing and turning, some other stuff going on here in my space, and so toss and turn a little bit, and so woke up this morning feeling a little groggy, and through the day really had to kind of push myself a little bit, and with some encouragement from my team at work. So thank you for all of that, you guys, and just but made it through the day. And because I was tired, I had to, at one point I had to go and sit in my office and drink, get a little bit more fluid, because I was a little dehydrated. Because as I'm going through the space, I'm not eating. I wasn't also thinking about drinking, and because I was fatigued, right? So it all kind of came together, and so didn't feel lightheaded, dizzy, and sweaty, but just felt a lot weaker than I normally would. So this week has been a different feel at this space, right? At this time. I did not feel any palpitations, feel like my heart's racing, skipping a beat. That usually goes with dehydration. And even though I was not hydrating as much, I didn't quite get to that space, right? So I think I caught it enough, or caught it in time, so that did not become an issue. So that's physically. Mentally, I am feeling clear. I was groggy earlier today and was, like I said, had to go to my office and sit and get some fluids to drink. But thought process wise, feeling very clear and not feeling as though I'm walking through a bubble or that my mentation is being affected. So that is one of the places where sometimes people will have issues as well. And then finally, in terms of my emotions, fasting has a tremendous ability to cause, I don't want to say elation, but when you fast, you feel good. And that is at this point, particularly as we get into the longer fast, I mentioned last week, or I mentioned at the end of the fast last week, that I was feeling, and when I was talking to you guys and talking about how I was feeling, some of that you were hearing was coming out of the feelings that come from the fast, those emotions that that you feel of joy and those the dopamine bursts, because you get some dopamine from fasting, by the way. Right, so that causes that feeling, and right now emotionally I'm feeling very good. Happy with what's going on metabolically. Happy with what I'm seeing in our community as people are getting great successes. Happy with what I'm seeing in our practice with our family. The summer and hanging out with my son and working out with him. As a matter of fact, just before I came in here, we were just outside working out, and so having conversations in those spaces is a little different, right? When we're sitting and we're guys, and so we talk, but we talk like guys. But we get out there, and the conversation seems to flow more, because we're in the midst of doing this, and he wants to go faster and harder, and he's like, come on, old man. Well, he didn't call me old man, but he said, come on. He's like, we can do this. You can do this. So he's pushing me now, right? So that is a great space to be in as I work out with him. So, all right. So that's what's been going on in that space. So that's how I'm doing in our check-in. So let's now go over and say hello to our community members, because I see some of you out there. So we're going to say hi before we get into our discussion. And I see Jiyeon is out there. She says, hi, doctor, and hi, LLG. Kenti says, Jiyeon, hello. Bowie says, hi, everyone. Steve, great numbers. Hi, Kenti from Jiyeon. Jiyeon says, hi, Bowie. Hi, Steve. Steve was guessing 1.9, and we turned out to be 1.4. Jiyeon was guessing 1.8. Once again, we turned out to be 1.4. And Jennifer, what's going on? Jennifer says, howdy. Jennifer says, my glucose is currently 137. Eating fresh watermelon from my garden. Yay, Jennifer. We always say we got to get some of your stuff. Jennifer says, my glucose was 101, but I started my fast at 11. My ketones are 2.0 is what Steve is saying. Amazing. Congratulations, Steve. And then Jiyeon saying hi to Jennifer. So once again, those ketones that you hear us talking about, less than 0.5 considered normal, 0.5 to 1.5 considered nutritional ketosis, and then above 1.5 considered therapeutic ketosis. Okay? All right, so let's hop in and let's get into our discussion as we talk about fasting. How do we use fasting as an amazing tool? And we are 56 hours now. Let's do that right now. All right, so right now I am 56 hours into this fast. And at this stage, the outside looks calm. But on the inside, there's stuff going on, right? There's hormones that are changing. There are processes that are that are starting, processes that are entrenching, right? So autophagy and all of those things. Cortisol levels have come down. My ghrelin is settled. We'll get into some of those again. So we're talking about the silent healing that you can't see. All that stuff that's happening on the inside. Because while your stomach might not be growling, and your energy might feel steady, beneath the surface, powerful transformations are on the way. They're happening. So let me ask you, what if the best work your body does is not the stuff we see on the outside? right? So we were lifting and we're pressing and we're doing squats and we're walking. But what if the best thing that's going on is on the inside and it's invisible? And what if the silence is actually an amazing process, a cascade that is in the process of changing how our body works and how our body relates to the world around us? So we're going to do a metabolic deep dive. So at 56 hours, when you're here, you're not just in ketosis. Ketosis is, we talk about that, but you're also in what I like to call metabolic renovation. This is the mode that you're in. Autophagy is active. And you've heard me talk about fasting as a reset. It's kind of like getting a house or getting a building and gutting the building and getting it ready for all the other things that are going on. So autophagy is active. Your cells are recycling broken, damaged parts. They're cleaning out debris. It's rebuilding better. One of the things we talked about in one of our episodes before is the fact that mitochondria, which are those batteries in your body, this is the powerhouse. This is the thing that converts, that takes the energy and sends it to the signal, into the cells. When we're in autophagy, the body goes and it finds those ones that are not functioning optimally, those ones that are damaged, that may not be working well, and it sends them off to recycling. And when they come back much better and much more efficient than the ones that were there. So not only is it taking away the damaged ones, but it actually makes them much stronger and much more powerful. The number of those batteries, those mitochondria, increases during fasting. So the density goes up. So not only am I getting better, more efficient batteries, but I'm getting overall more batteries. Autophagy is active. Inflammation is decreasing. Markers like CRP, so C-reactive protein, and interleukin-6, these are the pro-inflammatory. When you think about diseases that are inflammatory, rheumatoid arthritis and Behçet's and a lot of those autoimmune diseases, if you check interleukin-6 and CRP, they're high. But during this process, those markers begin to go down. I was talking to someone today, actually, we were talking about autoimmune diseases. And one of the points I was making is with autoimmune diseases, one of the things that you want to do is you want to decrease the inflammation. And when we fast, the fast has the power to decrease these markers so that inflammation in the body is going down. Of course, we know that insulin levels are low because as our blood sugar goes down, as you saw, mine is going down into the 50s. As the blood sugar goes down, then the insulin has to go. So this allows fat to begin being broken down. We get into that ketosis. We get into that beta oxidation. And so we begin breaking down the fat efficiently. Especially the visceral fat. Now, visceral fat, this is the fat that surrounds our organs. The fat that we see out here, right? Everybody is concerned about that. And that is something that we want to decrease. But the one that is causing a lot of the damage is the fat that's around our organs. So you can imagine your heart with a layer of fat around it. And the more weight we put on, the thicker that layer gets. Imagine your liver with a layer of fat around it. Imagine your kidneys and your intestine with a layer of fat around it. So that fat layer is inhibiting the organ that's inside from doing its job more efficiently. And so when insulin levels go down, then my body gets permission to go and begin chopping away at that layer of fat that's surrounding my organ. So that visceral fat begins to go down. We begin to break it down. Growth hormone begins to go up. And we know that growth hormone is that hormone that helps to preserve our muscle mass. It helps to keep us, when we're fasting, and people say, oh, you're going to lose muscle. Well, when we're fasting, when growth hormone goes up, growth hormone has the ability to protect us from the breakdown of muscle and the muscle loss that we see. This helps preserve the muscle, it helps to repair tissue, and it enhances metabolism. One of the things that I love to do is, as we were talking about, we are out exercising. So I'm exercising with my son. Love it. And when we exercise, right, so we're lifting, those muscles are being torn, they're being stretched, they're being pulled. And when we fast, the growth hormone goes up, and the growth hormone makes the muscles heal much faster. So there's this thing called fasting workouts, where people are actually deliberately fasting so that they can actually have better healing or faster healing. That happens because growth hormone levels are going up. And then, of course, cellular stress resistance is up. So the body is in a stressful environment, particularly as we go through our normal days, right? So our days are full of stress. And when we fast, the body becomes more resistant to that stress. The cells are more resilient to damage that occurs from that. This is all going on in fasting, and that's the silent part that's happening. This is not theoretical. This is not... people say, oh, it's an emotional thing. No, there's a lot of emotional benefit that comes from fasting. But I'm talking about physical, cellular, metabolic benefits that come through the fasting. These are the things that you don't feel, but they are happening. That's why we call it silent healing. And here's the beauty. This healing is earned, not given. Ooh. It only comes through sustained fasting. It comes through repeat fasting. I can't give it to you. I can't gift it to you. It comes when you're doing the work in your body. It comes when you have found a pattern, a rhythm that works for you, found an alignment where you're doing the things that are pushing you in that direction. So if you're here with me, whether you're at 56 hours, whether you're at 33 hours, celebrate the quiet work that's going on in your body. So let's connect this with the Limitless Living Health Action Plan. So we're not just fasting. We're not just fasting because we don't want to eat. What we're doing is we are crafting alignment across multiple domains. Remember, alignment is the lining up of the things that we are doing, the choices that we're making, with what we say we want to do. That's our rhythm. So all of this, let's align it up. So mental clarity. Remember, one of the pillars, domains of health, mental clarity. So mental clarity comes from lower inflammation and balanced neurotransmitters. So when we're fasting, there's not just the cellular thing that's going on. There's just not the lowering of blood sugars. There's just not the autophagy that's going on, but we have inflammation that's dropping, and we have improvement of our neurotransmitters. Remember, we talked about the fact that fasting is one of the things that is being purported for treatment of neuropathy, nerves, and treatment for neurodegenerative diseases, Alzheimer's. We've talked about type 3 diabetes. So the mental clarity that comes through fasting, because there are hormones that are also coming through. Number one, beta hydroxybutyrate. We talked about the fact that when the body breaks the triglycerides down, it gets free fatty acids, and it gets glycerol. The glycerol goes on to be turned into glucose, but those free fatty acids gets broken down, and one of the ketones, there are several ketones, by the way, one of the ketones that we like that comes out is beta hydroxybutyrate, which kind of stimulates the brain. The other hormone that we like, is a peptide, BDNF, which is like miracle grow for the brain. So when fasting happens, the mental clarity that comes is profound. So if you have a problem, if you got a problem that you're trying to solve and it's not coming at you, try to solve it during fasting. Those connections are amazing. Because fasting is creating alignment in multiple of our domains. We talked about one of the domains, spiritual centering. Coming aside from space to pray, to think, to listen. In our community meetup earlier this evening, we were talking about mindfulness. When you're fasting, the space that you put your mind in, the space that you put your body in, is a space that is conducive and makes it easier for you to make connections, for you to listen to yourself, for you to think, for you to understand, for you to listen to your body. This is a great time for your spiritual practice, for your Bible study. Great time for you to do some mindset work. Great time for you to do some meditation. Great time for you to find a way to deal with the stresses that are coming out, because now you have the space, you have the capacity, you have the brain energy, you have the neurotransmitters that are all setting you up to accept and to bring those things into your space. Metabolic flexibility. That allows your body to burn what you stored. Ooh, come on. When we talk about food, the way we eat food, by the time your body is just about finished, the postprandial period is that period where it's digesting stuff. Just about the time when the body is just about completing that and thinking about going to burn energy from fat or from our liver, we eat again. So the body doesn't have to go to the stores. I want you to think about a balloon. And the balloon is full. You've blown it up and it's full. But you take the balloon and you put it to your lips and you blow a little bit in. Not a lot. Not a whole big breath. Just a little bit. What happens to the balloon? The balloon gets bigger. How come? You didn't put anything in. You didn't put a lot in. I shouldn't say you didn't put anything. You didn't put a lot in. But the balloon gets bigger. Why does it get bigger? Because you put something in. So when it comes to food, just when the body is getting ready to go and let some of the air out, we put a little bit in. And people say, well, I didn't eat that much. No, you didn't eat that much, but you ate. And every little bit puts a little bit more in and prevents the body from going to release some that's already there. So when we're fasting, we have metabolic flexibility that allows your body to burn what it has stored. We have habit recalibration as hunger cues begin to reset. Because at this point in fasting, the hunger cues are gone. Let me say that. People say, well, I feel hungry. Well, no, you think hungry. What's the difference? And that's the difference between physical hunger and psychological hunger. At this point of fasting, ghrelin is down. Our body is making ketones. So ghrelin is down, so we're not stimulated to eat, right? So that hormone is down. Our ketones suppress our hunger, slows the GI tract, stabilize our leptin. So that makes us not hungry. Insulin is low. And insulin is an appetite stimulant, so that's low. Our cortisol levels are low. Our mental clarity is high. Our ketones are supplying energy to the rest of the body. There is no physical hunger. So where is the push to eat coming from? It is psychological hunger. And that has to do with the HEAT model: habits, emotions, access, and taste. And so in this space, the hunger cues get reset, because we all of a sudden realize, wait a minute, I'm not hungry, but I'm going to eat that thing. Why am I eating that thing? I'm eating that thing because everybody else is eating. I'm eating because it's here. I'm eating because it's a habit. I'm eating because this is what we do. We eat. Or, man, I just had that challenging conversation, and look at me, I'm eating. Or I just have some frustration over that project, and look at me, I'm eating. Or I'm bored, I'm tired, and look at me, I'm eating. So we begin to make those connections, and in fasting, we begin to recalibrate those cues. Fasting affects self-efficacy because you're keeping your word to yourself. So self-efficacy says that I believe, based on evidence, that my choices, my decisions, and my consistency are setting me up for success. That's what self-efficacy says. So let's walk through that. So first of all, I believe it. I don't need anybody else out there to believe it. It's self-efficacy. I believe it. And I believe it based on history, based on the fact that I'm at 56 hours. So that proves to me that I can do it. Based on the fact that last week I did a 24-hour, that proves to me I can do it. Based on the fact that I thought that I couldn't go for 16 hours without passing out, and here I am at 18 hours, that proves I can do it. I did it this week, I did it last week, I did it the week before, I've been doing it for a year and a half, as one of our community members talks about. I have evidence now. It's no longer a guess. It's no longer a thought. It is what I do. It is who I am, because I have proven that I can do it. So self-efficacy, based on evidence, I believe that by my choices, my decisions, and my consistency, that I can be successful in my metabolic space. So based on my decisions, what are the decisions I'm going to make? I'm going to fast. I'm going to implement. I'm going to walk. I'm going to strength train. I'm going to eat balanced bites during my eating period. I'm going to get rest and restoration. I'm going to get some structure and some planning. I'm going to get some mindset mastery. My decisions in those areas, based on my choices. So I am going to make the choices that align with where I say I want to go, based on my choices, based on my decisions, and based on my consistency, believing that if I show up consistently over time, I'm going to get the benefit of the compound effect. Because little over time, consistently over time, gives me the benefit. So self-efficacy. Because I'm keeping my word to myself. My body, my brain, my mind now believes me when I say I'm fasting. Why? Because I've done it. This is why fasting is not just about the body. It's also a full system reset. This is the point where your future self says, thank you. If I could go back in time to the decisions I made when the light switch went on, when the bulb clicked, when I decided I couldn't stay where I was, I would say to that Dwain, thank you for making the decision. Thank you for falling out of the raft. Thank you for letting go. Thank you for deciding that you were going to walk this path. Your future self says to you, thank you. Because you're not just watching symptoms disappear. You're watching systems rebuild. And you're not just watching the eventuality. You're watching your future walk through a space of living a limitless life. And you know what? You're just getting started. You're just getting started. So here's what I want to teach you about the mind at 56 hours. At this point, you start experiencing the fasting paradox. You feel stronger while doing less. You feel clear while eating nothing. You feel calm in the absence of the normal noise. And you feel powerful in the absence of what used to be our crutch, the food. This is when identity begins to shift. Because you're no longer the person ruled by the craving. You're the person who has power over patterns. You're the person who's playing your own game. This is what we call limitless living. Not because everything is easy, but because nothing owns you. Nothing is pushing you. You are directing what happens. Take a second and ask yourself, who am I becoming through this process? What have I let go of that I thought I needed? I couldn't do this before. Oh, I can't fast. I can't eat like that. I can't walk. I can't strength train. What new level of self-trust am I building? Am I providing the evidence for my inner coach that builds my self-efficacy? These are not just small questions, y'all. These are the ones that rewrite your history. These are the ones that define what we do going forward. These are the ones that help us to craft our game that we're going to play, because we're playing our game. We're not playing anybody else's game. Because when we play other people's games, then we have conflict and we don't win. So here's your reflection. The deepest healing is not always felt, but it is always happening when you show up for yourself. When you play your game, healing is going on. And in this episode, I want to leave you with this thought. The body whispers before it screams. Fasting is now going on. And fasting is how we learn to listen again. This is the beauty of fasting. This is the beauty of where we are. This is the beauty of what we're doing. Keep watching as we continue this amazing path of fasting. And this is the amazing process that's going on at 56 hours of fasting. We'll be right back. So as we move through the process, as we move through this path, right? Continue tuning in, right? As we talk about what's happening beneath the surface, what your body is and has been trying to do in healing, what your spirit has been trying to say. And let that momentum carry you into the final stretch. We'll be back tomorrow for 72-hour, a full review episode of fasting. How do we how do we get ready for the fast? How do we get through the fast? And of course, how do we end the fast? We'll be back tomorrow. But tonight, I want you to sit with this quiet power. 56 hours in. And something sacred, something exciting is happening inside of you. And we want to keep that going. We want to keep that going. If you're with me on the journey, go ahead and drop that inside. Am I one day, second day, 2 day? I'm doing the entire fast, right? What is your biggest insight from tonight? Invite somebody on the journey with you. Don't go alone. Take a family member, take a friend, take a colleague, take somebody at church, somebody at a community center, somebody in your neighborhood. And as always, if no one told you today, I believe in you. And we're going to live a limitless life as we move forward. All right. So let's go ahead and let's take a look. I see some of our community members out there. Let's see. Where were we? We were... so hi, Jennifer. We talked about Steve's numbers. So Jennifer says, hi, nice ketone, Steve. And Gian, thank you, doctor. Love what we're doing. So earlier tonight, we had our community meetup, and we had an amazing time. So if you've not joined our community yet, make sure you get in there. It's a great place for our support of each other. We have some coaching that goes on in there. We get to see the successes. We get to do the attaboys. We get to deal with some of the challenges that may come up in your fasting journey and in your walk along the Limitless Living Action Plan. So join us as we continue doing, walking through that space. Everything that we do is built on our Triple E formula for success. We educate, we empower, and we encourage. We educate with the shows, with the blogs, with the podcasts. All of that is with the intention of changing our mindset, giving us different perspectives, and helping us to know that we can build that inner coach that gives us the support based on our history that we are able to make changes and be successful. We educate, we empower. So the things that you're seeing, the things that you're learning, the fasting, the Limitless Living Health Action Plan, the Balanced Bites, all of those are tools to put into practice the things that we've learned. That empowers you. Knowledge is great, but knowledge without the ability to apply it doesn't really change us, and we are in the process of changing. That's why the Limitless Living Health Action Plan has the word action in it, because it takes some behavior, takes some action from you to infuse it with power. And then we encourage with this amazing community that we are building. Once again, join the community. You have a sacred and a profound obligation, a profound a profound journey that you're on. Somewhere I heard somebody say, with much power comes much responsibility. And as you are getting successes, as you are seeing the benefits, then you get to improve the community around you. Whether that's in your house, in your family, in your neighborhood, at your church, on your job, in your community center, wherever you find yourself, you get to say to someone, hey, come along with me on this journey. Because right now, right at this moment, there are over 1 billion people, billion with a B, who are struggling with diabetes and pre-diabetes. You get to be a voice in that mass of people that says there's a different way. And I'm walking on it. Come walk with me. So we educate, we empower, and we encourage. And as always, we'll be back tomorrow as we conclude our fasting week with a complete rundown of fasting. How do you prepare for the fast? How do you go through the fast? How do you break the fast? And you get to see what I eat for the first time in 72 hours as we break that fast. Come on back. On Saturday, we will have video from the vault at 9 p.m. Central. On Sunday morning, we'll have This Week in Review at 6 a.m. Central. And then on Monday, we'll be right back here for Dwain Woode, MD Live, as we walk through that path to metabolic success and metabolic health. Hey, this is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life. Avoid complications, go to the next level. We're creating the life we've always wanted, and we are living limitless lives, which says we're not allowing anything from outside or anything from inside to prevent us from doing what we need to do. We're showing up with our best self, our best health, and our best plans. Now go live a limitless life, and we'll see you tomorrow in our check-in, and we'll see you in our community. Good night, everybody.